pay attention. If you don't rise and take control of your life right now, you're not just letting go of your ambitions, you're throwing away your time, your skills, and every opportunity your future holds. And the most devastating part? It'll all be on you. You've been deceived. They've fed you comforting lies. Keep faith, maintain a good attitude, believe everything will work out. But that was a setup, a deliberate illusion. Optimism without effort is the biggest con ever sold to humanity, and it's the exact reason why you're still financially struggling, physically unremarkable, and ignored by a world that only recognizes strength and dominance. While you sit idle, pondering, doubting, or simply distracting yourself, another man, more determined, more focused, more relentless, is claiming everything that should have belonged to you. And if you continue to stand still, you'll fall so far behind that catching up won't be an option. This is your wake-up call, perhaps the final one. Either absorb what I'm saying or live with the regret forever. Here's a bitter truth most will never say out loud. Positive thinking without execution is worthless. You've been misled your entire life. Society told you to think happy thoughts, believe you're special, and leave everything in the hands of fate or the universe, as if achievement was something you could simply wish into existence. That's a fantasy. Right the second someone else is grinding harder while you're aimlessly browsing your phone. He's stacking wins while you second-guess yourself. He's shaping his world while you sit and daydream about the life you want. That's why you're not where you wish to be. It's not because you're unlucky or unloved. It's because you still believe wishful thinking can save you. It won't. Because those who win don't waste time hoping. They move, they plan, they push, they act. You might be telling yours, elf, that life isn't fair. And you're right. It isn't. You're correct in thinking that those with wealth have more leverage. They absolutely do. You're also right in assuming that top performers are operating on a higher level. They are. But here's the piece of the puzzle no one's willing to admit. You can still win, even in an unfair game. How? By doing the things most people shy away from. By embracing discipline. By accepting hardship. By choosing discomfort when others choose ease. By outlasting those who fold when things get tough. That's the formula for greatness. That's how you become a force no one else can outmatch. But here's what will really happen. Most people won't listen. They'll get a quick hit of inspiration, feel fired up for a few minutes, and then go right back to the habits that keep them broke and invisible. That's the real loss. Not that you can't succeed, but that you won't commit. Because beneath it all, you're hooked on ease. You want the good life without the grind. You crave rewards without giving up comforts. The truth stings, but it's necessary. Pain teaches better than pleasure ever will. You don't evolve when everything's smooth. You don't get stronger by staying in your comfort zone. You become powerful when you face trials, when you push past limits, when you confront discomfort and keep going. Think about the giants of history, men who left their mark on the world. They didn't get there by wishing things would get easier. They forged their path through sheer effort, by embracing pain, by choosing battles no one else dared to fight. That's how they rose above the rest, because they could endure more, struggle harder, and never quit when others did. And that's exactly why the majority will never reach that level. You dodge difficulty. You want the body but won't commit to the grueling workouts. You want wealth but refuse to trade your weekend fun for long hours of building and learning. You crave admiration but fear taking the steps required to earn respect. So let me ask you this. How much do you really want it? Because if you're not ready to shed blood, sweat, and tears for it, then you simply don't deserve it. Waiting and hoping are tactics for the timid. Action, relentless and unapologetic, is the strategy of champions. And unless you begin carrying yourself like someone worthy of success, someone who demands it through effort, you'll never experience it. The harsh truth is that your current situation is not solely because of external circumstances. It's not because society is skewed or because others were given better opportunities. It's because you haven't taken full, brutal ownership of your existence. The modern man has gone soft. Most look for someone to blame when things go wrong. They point fingers, make excuses, or label winners as lucky. But here's the reality. Those at the top earned their status. That millionaire? He put in the hours you refused to. That champion? He trained through pain you couldn't stomach. Success was never handed to them. They fought for it while you hesitated. You need to understand this. Victory is possible even for you, but only if you accept the weight of responsibility, choose effort over comfort, and chase progress like your life depends on it. Because it does. They didn't get ahead by accident. They didn't stumble into success while you were sitting around daydreaming. They earned it through relentless effort, ruthless sacrifice, and an unshakable drive to endure more than you ever dared to face. That's why they're excelling, and that's why you're still stuck on the sidelines, silently wishing things would magically turn in your favor. While you linger in uncertainty, they are forging ahead. So ask yourself, will you remain stagnant, fantasizing about what could be, or will you finally rise and claim what you were meant for? This world isn't built like a fairy tale. There are no heroic rescues, no miracles waiting in the wings. There's no reward for the passive, no glory for the ones who sit back and hope. Life isn't about fairness or balance. It never was. It honors those who impose their will and punishes those who wait for kindness. The powerful get what they pursue, and the passive are left behind. This is the uncomfortable truth that society tries to keep hidden. Every moment you spend in indecision or delay, someone else is charging ahead, snatching the very future you imagined for yourself. You see the signs everywhere. The people driving luxury cars, owning the homes you fantasize about, dating the partners you wish you had. They didn't stumble into those wins. They seized them. They were building while you were hesitating. They were showing up when you hit snooze. They were grinding through the discomfort while you were giving into convenience. They didn't wait for permission or motivation. They acted with urgency. That's the difference. You delayed. They executed. And in this world, hesitation is a luxury only losers can afford. This is not a game. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is survival. And in survival, there are only two roles, the one who hunts and the one who gets hunted. With every decision you make, from choosing to rise early or hit the alarm again, to showing up for yourself or making another excuse, you are assigning yourself a role. When you skip discipline, you don't just lose time, you choose weakness. And the weak are consumed. That's how life works. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you a better life because you're a good person. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards output. Everything around you, from your phone to your food to your entertainment, is engineered to keep you docile and easily distracted. These things are traps carefully crafted to keep you dependent, unmotivated, and under control. And if you don't snap out of it, if you don't take back control, you'll spend your entire existence observing others living the life you secretly crave, not because you weren't capable, but because you wouldn't commit. To escape this, you must transform into the kind of man who doesn't ask for opportunities. He creates them. You don't linger. You don't hesitate. You don't wait for things to align. You act because you've earned the right through relentless preparation. And that kind of transformation, it requires warlike discipline. It takes grueling effort. You want wealth? Then be prepared to pour your energy into long, exhausting hours while others take breaks. You want influence? Then you must tear down every limitation, every excuse, every weakness holding you back. You want respect? Then you must set an unbreakable standard for yourself and live up to it daily. Success is not free. It demands a price that most people are unwilling to pay. You may think staying optimistic or repeating affirmations will change your life, but positivity without action is a deception, a sedative to numb you from the reality that you're not moving forward. You can chant your goals to the mirror, write them on vision boards, and talk about your future self all you want, but if you don't pair that vision with consistent, focused labor, you'll stay exactly where you are. Hope on its own is a form of paralysis. It feels comforting but produces nothing. It's the excuse of those too afraid to get uncomfortable. Meanwhile, the real difference between the successful and the forgotten is one thing: execution. The people at the top are not necessarily the most talented, the smartest, or the luckiest. They are the ones who moved when others stalled. Winners act, losers delay. Every single time you choose convenience over consistency, you are falling behind. Every skipped day, every excuse, every "I'll start tomorrow" is a step toward irrelevance. Keep doing that, and eventually, you'll become just another man who let the clock run out. Just another forgotten name, buried under missed chances. Others will grow. Stronger, wealthier, and more influential, while you'll sit there wondering why it wasn't you. But deep down, you'll know why. It was never about luck. It wasn't even about talent. It was because you kept putting things off, because you were too comfortable, because you mistook potential for power, and power belongs only to those who take it. So ask yourself one final time, what's stopping you? Because if you can't answer that question honestly and break the cycle today, then you've already chosen to lose. Let me be blunt with you. The reason you haven't reached where you want to be is simple. You haven't claimed it yet. Success doesn't just fall into your lap like a free handout. It's not a gift. It's a conquest. You must seize it. You must battle for it with every ounce of grit in your body. You need to be willing to hustle harder, think sharper, and last longer than everyone else in the arena. It requires unbreakable persistence, iron discipline, and an obsession with self-mastery so fierce that failure becomes irrelevant, non-existent. Inside you, there's a version so powerful, so determined, so laser-focused that no obstacle stands a chance. That version of you rises with intent, moves with conviction, and refuses to surrender to comfort, fear, or doubt. But that version remains dormant, trapped, until you make a decision to destroy the weaknesses that are holding you back. Your feelings, they're noise. Your justifications, useless. Your history, completely irrelevant. What actually matters is what you choose to do right now. Time ticks away mercilessly. Every idle second is a second you'll never reclaim. Every choice to give in, to stay soft, to stay still, those are moments forever lost. And when you're older, staring at the final pages of your life story, you'll be haunted by the knowledge that you waited instead of acted, that you spent years daydreaming instead of doing. And regret is a heavy, bitter weight, especially when it comes too late to fix anything. So ask yourself, will you let your life pass you by, or will you rise up and take command of it? Understand this. No one's coming to pull you out of mediocrity. Your family won't do it. Your buddies can't do it. The government isn't going to step in. The stars won't align just for you. No cosmic force is arriving to save the day. It's all on you. The second you accept that no one else is responsible for your progress, that's the second you become powerful beyond belief. That's the moment the game changes, because now you stop waiting and you start moving. You stop depending and you start building. You stop fantasizing and you start owning. So the real question is, are you still going to sit around fantasizing about change, or are you finally going to stand up and make it happen? Here's the cold truth. Too many men today are fragile, timid, and powerless. They live buried under fear. Fear of losing, fear of not being accepted, fear of discomfort. And because they bow to fear, they remain broke, unseen, and ineffective. The world conditioned them this way from birth. They were spoon-fed the lie that being quiet, polite, and passive would somehow lead to greatness, that if they just stayed patient and followed the rules, life would reward them. But that's a fantasy. Success doesn't favor the docile. It bows to those who move, who take risks, who are willing to bleed, sweat, and suffer in pursuit of something greater. It belongs to those who refuse to let pain or hardship stop them. Unfortunately, most will never know that level of intensity because they choose softness every single day. Look at your current reality. Look at your habits, your health, your finances. Are you proud? If not, then hear this. You're the root of the problem, not society, not the market, not your parents, you. You're the reason you're stuck, frustrated, restless, and weak. And unless you confront that truth and take full ownership, nothing will improve. The mirror doesn't lie. What you see reflected is the result of the choices you've made. And that's exactly why most people avoid the mirror. They don't want to admit they've been sabotaging themselves for years. But if you want real growth, you have to stop pointing fingers and start pointing thumbs back at yourself. So here's your wake-up call. Change doesn't begin when things feel perfect. It starts the moment you stop making excuses. It starts the moment you declare enough is enough. You are capable of far more than the life you're living now, but capability means nothing without action. The world doesn't owe you a thing. Your potential means nothing unless you fight for it. And the longer you delay, the more you're stealing from the future you could have had. It's time to cut through the noise, kill the victim mentality, and unleash the version of yourself that doesn't apologize for wanting more, for working harder, for standing taller. This world doesn't need more nice guys waiting their turn. It needs warriors who take what's theirs. So, what's it going to be? Will you keep living beneath your potential, or are you ready to burn the excuses, confront the truth, and step into the life you were always meant to live? Weakness isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you allow. You didn't end up unfit, broke, or underachieving by accident. You arrived at that place because of the choices you repeatedly made. Each time you skipped exercising, every dollar you blew on useless things, every opportunity you dodged because it was uncomfortable or hard, that was a decision that piled up, one on top of the other, until it became the life you now live. And instead of facing those decisions head on, most people prefer to shift the blame. They point at broken systems, unfair advantages, other people's actions. They pretend as though the universe is somehow out to get them, using that as an excuse to stay idle. But let's get something straight. Whining doesn't solve anything. Do you really think high achievers waste their time crying about unfairness? Do you picture industry leaders sulking in corners, waiting for sympathy? No. They strategize, they work smarter and harder, and they beat the game by mastering it. That's why they win. That's why they lead. They refuse to be soft. They don't settle. They choose strength in every moment where most people choose comfort. There's no nobility in weakness. Despite what modern culture may tell you, being average should never be your goal. The world might try to convince you that being content with mediocrity is admirable, that it's fine to just get by, but that narrative is a lie. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. If you're not striving, you're stagnating. If you're not transforming into someone sharper, stronger, and more capable every single day, then you are falling behind. Because here's the harsh truth. Weak individuals are left in the dust. Look around. Who's constantly broke? Who's always overwhelmed? Who hates their job but stays in it for years? It's not the disciplined, it's not the ambitious. It's those who spent years justifying their inaction instead of taking the difficult steps toward growth. And now, those same people carry around a haunting sense of regret because they know they could have done more. That's the most crushing weight a person can bear. The knowledge that they let potential slip through their fingers. And if you don't start shifting gears, that could be your story too. You must understand life doesn't care about fairness. Life doesn't reward you for wanting to succeed. It doesn't hand out prizes for dreaming. It only responds to results. It only respects action. If you lack resilience, if you live without discipline, if you shy away from challenges, life will steamroll you. But if you build strength, if you train your mind and body, if you hold yourself to a higher standard, life will yield to you. It's a simple equation, but most people overcomplicate it because they're terrified of what it demands. Too many of you are sitting on your hands waiting for the perfect moment to begin. Let me break it to you. That moment will never arrive. you will never feel totally ready. If you're depending on motivation to take the first step, you'll be stuck forever. Motivation is fleeting. The real fuel, discipline. The winners, the ones who rise, who conquer, they don't wait. They act. They make the moment right by moving even when everything inside them says, not yet. While others complain about the difficulty, the discomfort, the unfairness, winners lean into the grind and push past it. Where others seek distractions to numb the pain, they focus on the task and use their time to build, improve, and excel. The truth is, your stagnation has a root cause: distraction, weak habits, wasted time. You spend hours glued to screens, watching the highlight reels of others who live the life you say you want while doing nothing to earn it yourself. You binge entertainment, chase fleeting pleasures, and numb yourself with momentary highs, avoiding the only path that leads to something real: effort. Effort is the cost of greatness, and right now, many of you are refusing to pay it. But if you keep going like this, if you keep choosing the easy road, nothing will improve. Your days will blur together. 1 year, 5 years, even 10 years from now, your circumstances will look the same. And then, in the twilight of your life, when energy is gone and options are limited, you'll look back and see that all you ever did was wait. And that truth will burn, because you'll know deep down you could have changed everything. But here's the upside: you're still breathing. And if you're reading this right now, it means you still have time. You still have the ability to rewrite your path, to rebuild, to reclaim the identity of the man you were always meant to be. But understand, this won't happen through wishful thinking. It won't come from reading more motivational posts. It won't come from hoping the stars align. It requires brutal honesty. It requires facing your flaws and admitting where you've gone wrong. It demands real action, consistent, focused, disciplined action. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because the longer you wait, the more likely it is that you never begin. And that's the tragedy you must avoid at all costs. The path to becoming everything you're capable of starts with eliminating the softness within you. This is not the time to justify inaction. This is not the time to pause, overthink, or procrastinate. This is the moment to act without hesitation. You either rise above who you were yesterday, or you stay chained to an average existence. Let's be clear, there is no such thing as almost committed. You don't become extraordinary by dabbling. You're either fully invested or completely out. People who win dive in headfirst. People who lose delay and dwell. And right now, in this exact second, you're faced with the decision: will you lead or follow? Will you dominate or surrender? Because if you keep postponing, the day will come when all you have left are regrets, and those regrets will haunt you far more than any moment of discomfort you're avoiding now. Comfort, in truth, is the most treacherous dependency of all. It's more damaging than any vice. More confining than any cell. Comfort dulls your edge, shrinks your hunger, and blinds you to your own stagnation while others move forward. The tragedy? Most don't even notice it draining them. You tell yourself things are fine, that you'll figure it out later. But deep in the quiet, honest corners of your own mind, you know that's a lie. You know you're falling short. You know you're holding back. You know you're capable of far more than you're delivering. And it all boils down to one choice. You've selected ease over excellence. Look at the individuals who have reshaped industries, conquered impossible odds, and carved their names into history. Do you think they lived in luxury from the beginning? Do you believe they rose to power by seeking comfort? Not a chance. They wake up with intention, driven by a purpose that demands their struggle. They don't run from adversity, they chase it. They welcome difficulty, knowing it's the very thing that sharpens their will. Real strength is forged in adversity. Every time you drag yourself through exhaustion, you toughen your resolve. Each moment you willingly dive into hardship, your spirit grows more indestructible. When you deny the soft voice inside that craves safety and instead charge toward the hard, the painful, the inconvenient, that's when you become someone formidable. But the majority spend their lives sidestepping difficulty, treating effort like an enemy. You set low bars. You hide from pressure. You tiptoe around the very challenges designed to make you unbreakable. And this avoidance is exactly why you feel stuck. Be brutally honest about your daily patterns. How often do you subject yourself to meaningful struggle? Not the trivial frustrations of modern life, but the kind of physical and mental strain that reshapes you. The pain that shatters weakness and reinforces grit. Do you push your body to its threats? Hold training until fatigue becomes your normal? Do you obsess over your vision so completely that your brain screams for rest? Do you keep going when everything in you begs to quit? If you don't, then you haven't even stepped onto the battlefield. Because real transformation doesn't come gently, it's born in discomfort. The truth is, most people will never achieve greatness because they can't give up the petty comforts they've grown attached to. They prefer the warmth of the familiar over the fire of growth. They'd rather sleep late than rise early to build. They cling to convenience foods and quick dopamine hits instead of investing in their health. They waste their hours on distractions instead of pouring that energy into something that matters. And it's that love for ease, that infatuation with feeling good, that's keeping them shackled to a life they secretly despise. The difference between those who rise and those who don't is clear. The ones who rise are the ones who are willing to endure more discomfort. The man who embraces the most suffering, not in a masochistic sense, but with purpose and direction, will always stand above the rest. If you can't withstand pressure, if you fold at the first sign of adversity, then you will always be under the thumb of those who can. There's a reason elite warriors endure brutal conditioning. There's a reason peak performers grind harder when others rest. There's a reason true power is always born from the hardest trials. Because fire molds steel, because resistance builds resilience, and because pain, when faced deliberately, transforms ordinary people into legends. So now the question isn't whether you're capable. You are. The question is whether you're finally ready to stop running from the discomfort that could shape you into the person you were meant to become. Because every moment you turn away from difficulty, you're turning away from the future you claim to want. Greatness doesn't come dressed in comfort. It wears the armor of discipline, of sacrifice, of relentless effort. If you want to rise to conquer, to stand on ground others fear to tread, then you must stop waiting for life to get easier and start getting tougher. That's the only way forward. Everything else is just delay. Everything else is just weakness in disguise. Every time you pick ease over challenge, you're turning your back on your own strength. You're handing away your potential. The truth is harsh. Those who live in softness, who run from pressure and discomfort, end up buried by life. Weakness is not respected, not rewarded, and certainly not remembered. Look around. The fragile are trampled, used, and discarded. If you keep prioritizing convenience over discipline, if you continue running from difficulty, then you are choosing a path to obscurity. You'll end up as another nameless figure, someone who spent their life avoiding discomfort and reaped nothing but regret. And by the time you realize what you've given up, by the time the full weight of your avoidance crashes down on you, it will be far too late to change course. That's why you must tear the craving for comfort from your mind like a disease. Reject it, destroy it, replace it with a hunger for hardship. Train yourself to find strength in struggle. Get out of bed when your body screams for rest. Hit the weights when every fiber of you wants to stay still. Push through your limits even when your mind begs for relief. That's where true power is forged, in those exact moments where most people quit. The masses will never understand this. They're too busy inventing reasons to stay stagnant, too eager to tell themselves that life should be effortless. But if you are ready to evolve, if you're prepared to endure the grind, then you must walk a path built on suffering. The man who accepts hardship as a necessary ally will always outperform the man chasing ease. The one who welcomes adversity will always be dangerous. And the individual who, too, RNS pain into fuel will always come out on top. So here's the critical question. Are you still clinging to the illusion of comfort, or are you finally ready to embrace the agony that builds champions? Most men operate under a deadly misconception. They believe they have time. They convince themselves that tomorrow is guaranteed, that next week will be better, that one day they'll get serious. They lie to themselves. That lie is what keeps them broke, stuck, invisible. They don't see time for what it truly is, not a friend, but a constant threat. Every tick of the clock is another chance lost, another opportunity wasted. Time doesn't wait for motivation. Time doesn't pause while you make excuses. And yet, you stall. You drag your feet. You wait for the stars to align before you take a single step. Later becomes your mantra, but later is a lie. Later is the shield of the timid. Later is how those with no results try to justify years of inaction. Think about the last 5 years of your life. Strip away the delusions and be honest. Have you grown richer, sharper, stronger? Have you truly leveled up? Or are you stuck in a loop, making excuses, repeating mistakes, living a shadow of the life you're capable of? If you haven't made real progress, then you've already thrown away years you'll never recover. And if you don't make a radical shift now, the next 5 years will mirror the last, empty, repetitive, and stagnant. That's the cost of waiting. It's not just about time slipping by. It's about your potential being silently stolen by your own hesitation. Every second you pause, someone else is moving. While you delay, another man is building. While you second guess, someone is seizing the very goals you claim to want. And once he grabs those opportunities, they're gone. Success is not limitless. Power doesn't sit idle waiting for you. There's only so much to go around. And if you don't take your share, someone more will. Used will. The core issue is that many of you act like death is far away, like you'll live forever. You don't feel the urgency. You stroll through life like you've got infinite chances to get it right, but you don't. The clock is always ticking. The man who understands this doesn't daydream. He attacks. He doesn't stall waiting for motivation. He creates momentum. He doesn't get stuck in endless planning. He moves immediately and decisively. That's why he wins. That's why he's outpacing you. That's why he's building the life you only talk about while you sit still, waiting for a feeling that never comes. If you want change, you must stop fantasizing and start acting. Tear down the walls of comfort and sprint into the storm. Accept that you'll have to hurt. Accept that you'll have to sacrifice. Accept that nobody is coming to push you, because they're not. It's on you now. It always has been. There is no perfect time, only the time you choose to act. And if you don't choose now, you've already chosen failure. He was already making moves, building momentum while you stood still, paralyzed by indecision. And by the time you finally convince yourself to begin, the window will have already closed. You must shatter the illusion that time is limitless, because it isn't. Each sunrise that passes without purpose, every hour that drifts by without intention, is gone forever. When you hesitate, when you stall, you're not just wasting minutes, you're burying your potential. So many of you falsely believe there's plenty of time left to figure it all out. That's a dangerous lie. The version of yourself that could have risen, that could have dominated, is slipping away bit by bit with every excuse you make. Every time you delay action, you chip away at the man you were meant to become. And here's the brutal truth. You won't even realize what you've lost until the damage is permanent. One day, you'll face the mirror and staring back will be someone fragile, someone defeated, a reflection of missed chances and self-sabotage. You'll see what could have been, a man of strength and discipline, and recognize instead the person who settled for ease, who fled from difficulty, and who paid for it with a life half-lived. This is the truth that most will never confront. They lull themselves into believing there's still time to make a change, but the clock never stops ticking. Those who win, those who rise above, don't wait. They don't squander their mornings glued to screens, numbing themselves with entertainment, dodging growth. They wake with fire, driven by purpose, focused on progress. While you delay and distract yourself, they act, and that's why they'll always be steps ahead. You cannot match their success unless you adopt their pace. You can't rise above them if you move like a man who still thinks he has time. Every pause, every moment of doubt is just another setback. Many of you reading this feel the sting of truth. You feel the bitterness of years wasted, the frustration of opportunities ignored, and yet despite the discomfort this truth brings, most of you will still choose to do nothing. You'll nod in agreement, feel temporarily motivated, then return to the same destructive patterns. Because deep inside, you're still a prisoner to convenience. You still clutch the fantasy that time will stretch for you. But it won't. Time is indifferent, and every tick is taking you closer to a life of mediocrity. There is a version of yourself that must be eliminated, the timid, unmotivated, excuse-making shadow that holds you back. That version is the very reason you remain unseen, unheard, and unfulfilled. Until you dig deep and destroy that part of you, real growth, H will always remain out of reach. The harsh truth is that most men cling to their weakness because it's familiar. They grasp at outdated habits and broken mindsets because they offer a false sense of security. But here's the reality. Safety is a cage, and the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to escape. The more you cling to what's easy, the more powerless you become. So you must ask yourself now, will you keep living as this watered-down version of who you were meant to be, or will you finally transform into someone who cannot be stopped? Understand this. The journey to greatness is not gentle. It's violent. It's raw. It demands that you rip apart every feeble part of yourself. You have to declare war on laziness, on fear, on the hesitation that has silently held you hostage for years. To rise, you must be willing to endure discomfort. You must choose structure over chaos, effort over ease. That's why the majority will always fail. They're simply too fragile to endure what's required. Look to the legends of history. The warriors, the leaders, the visionaries, they all had one trait in common: ruthless accountability. They refused to tolerate weakness within themselves. They targeted their flaws and destroyed them relentlessly. And that's what you must do. Find every weakness within your character and obliterate it. Are you slow to act? Teach yourself urgency. Are you physically soft? Push yourself to the brink every single day. Are you easily distracted? Build a routine so tight it leaves no space for slacking. That's how you gain ground. That's how you become someone to be reckoned with. But sadly, most of you lack the grit. You're still clinging to the belief that there's always another day, that you'll find your moment eventually. You won't. Every second you let pass is a second you've surrendered. And unless you begin to move with the aggression of someone fighting for his legacy, nothing will change. You'll remain stagnant, unheard, unnoticed, unlived. That's the reality for men who refuse to shed their weaknesses. If you're not willing to kill off the version of you that sabotages every dream you have, then prepare to live a life of regret. That weaker version is the one who kills time, avoids discomfort, loves fantasy but loathes effort. As long as he lives inside of you, he will ruin every chance you're given. He has to be eliminated. You must silence his voice, cut him off completely, and bury him so deep he never rises again. Once you make that decision, truly commit to becoming disciplined, focused, and unrelenting, your life will shift. You'll wake up with energy, with intent. You'll chase your goals harder than anyone else because you'll understand that weakness is a sickness that must be wiped out. You can't live in two worlds. You cannot be both soft and strong, both hesitant and driven. You have to decide, will you stay where you are or will you evolve? Those who hesitate are left behind. Those who seek comfort over challenge are forgotten. This world belongs to those who charge forward without apology, who treat pain as a teacher and discomfort as fuel. If you're still making excuses, still playing small, still hiding behind empty promises, then you've already lost. So now the choice is yours. Will you destroy the version of yourself that holds you back, or will you let him take everything from you? This is the moment, right now, where you either reclaim your future or surrender it. There are no more tomorrows, no more perfect timing. The truth is in front of you, and it demands a decision. Will you rise, or will you vanish into the crowd like every other man who lacked the courage to change? You get one shot to shape your legacy. And every second you waste, another man is out there seizing what should have been yours. He's building your life. He's earning your rewards because he had the guts to do what you wouldn't. So I'll ask you again, will you take action and become everything you were meant to be? Or will you keep watching from the sidelines as someone else lives your dream